awesome.
That was great.
That was a cool tune. Highlight videos courtesy of NFL.com. Welcome to IE Sports Radio. I am Niners Jess, along with Ty Alston, Maddie B, and your girl Bex, and we are the East Coast Red and Gold. How's everybody doing?
Doing well. Feeling good.
Recovering.
It's nice to have something to look forward to.
It does. All right. So we have a special guest joining us today via audio. He's the staff writer for ESPN, covering our beloved team, the San Francisco 49ers. Everybody, please welcome Nick Wagoner. Nick, thanks for coming on the show.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Nick, thanks for coming.
Nick, so how was your bye week? Did you do anything fun?
I had a very interesting bye week, actually, and by interesting I mean awful in some ways. It was I got summoned for jury duty for the first time in my life.
Wow.
Which you could argue is a good thing. At least it fell on the bye week. It wasn't so great when actual jury selection took 2 full days. I was told it was going to take 1, so not a great way to spend it. But hey, I did my civic duty. I guess, is that a thing? And then I got to vote, so I've really been killing it on the civic duty front for the last year.
You really filled your civic duty cup, man. Like that's
Exactly.
not even like you didn't even fill the cup. Like you filled a pitcher. Like you were stored up. Like
You are leading the division, Nick.
at this point, you don't even need to pick up litter for like a year to a year and a half, Nick.
Is that true? I'm going to hold you to that. So,
No holding doors, none of those things. Yeah.
That's an estimate, kind of like a home inspection. So, like, it's kind of up to you to take it. But if you decide to take it, that's your call. Okay. So,
all right.
I'm a consultant by nature. So,
good to know.
Most people go away, and Nick was fulfilling his civic duty.
right.
Breaking news, folks. Nick Wagoner leading the league in civic duty.
Amazing. So good.
MVP right there.
All right, so let's get right to it. So, Nick, you covered the St. Louis Rams for 12 years.
Yep.
Who's the better team to cover?
Oh, the better team to cover. I mean, I don't know. It's like I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective. Every team is so different, like from a year-to-year basis. You talk about like a franchise versus like actual teams. I will say that when I covered the Rams, I got experience covering a lot of things that had nothing to do with football, which is a good thing, right? Like it's good, makes you a more well-rounded reporter. But I mean, a lot of serious things too, serious topics. Michael Sam and Stedman Bailey getting shot, and I mean, there's just so the Michael Brown and what happened in Ferguson that kind of carried over to players protesting and things like that. Things that are really serious things, and make you a better reporter. And so from that perspective, it was a really good experience. But I never covered a winning team, and I've covered the NFL for almost 2 decades, and it wasn't until 2019 covering the 49ers that I covered a team with a winning record. And so there's vastly different experiences within this, but I don't regret any of those years or any of those opportunities. And so I guess it's riding the fence a little bit to your question. But I've enjoyed covering, just doing what I do in general. I'm passionate about what I do and telling stories and developing relationships and all those things, just in different ways. And that's kind of the beauty of the NFL is every year is so different. And every team is so different, whether it's the coaches or the players or whatever. And then the form that those seasons take gives you an opportunity to see things from a different angle at all times.
So he sort of hit on my question for him, which was, what is the most interesting or most exciting story that he's covered across his years of covering the 2 teams? Because there have been some very dynamic stories on both sides of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I always tell people that the interesting thing is when I moved here to San Francisco in 2016, that was the Chip Kelly year. I'm sure a lot of those years run together for 49ers fans as post Harbaugh through till Shanahan got here. But I had been living in the Bay Area for 2 weeks when camp started. And then the Colin Kaepernick protest began right after that. And you talk about getting thrown into covering an important story right away. I my stuff wasn't even here. I'm serious. Like I was sleeping on an air mattress, and I had an iPad, just like Abe Lincoln used to do. That was all I had.
Like Abe Lincoln.
And so like it was, you get into that immediately, and you don't have a lot of relationships, and you're still trying to meet people, and I didn't know Colin that well, and all those things are happening, and so that is probably the story that I will take with me throughout my career, because it wasn't just the biggest story in football; it was the biggest story in the country for a long period of time, and I think that it made me a better reporter, having to kind of jump right into it right away. But I mean, I don't know how you would necessarily top that in terms of just how meaningful it was beyond football, and what it meant for our country at a time when things were really starting to take shape into what they are now in terms of a political climate and all those things too.
Right. Yeah, so I had thought about the Michael Sam story, and then I thought about Colin Kaepernick, and I thought, wow, he's been across the spectrum of both of those, and I just wonder, like, what else could maybe be a human story or an eventful story that might top those two events, because they're pretty significant as the NFL goes, and beyond the NFL, really. So I just wondered what your take was on that. So thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Ty.
Well, Nick,
Ty.
on behalf of the faithful, I just want you to know that, after beating the Rams, we were all riding a high. And we came to the bye week riding that high, and we're still riding it.
Yep.
And then yesterday, you put out a tweet mentioning how the 49ers have lost 3 straight games on Sunday Night Football going into this week. And the last week was against the Rams in October of 2020.
Yep.
What's going on there, Nick? I thought you were one of us. I thought you were a good guy. What's going on there?
It's just
why you got to bring us down?
It's just a stat. It's just one of those things that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't guarantee anything. But I noticed that you left off that right before that. I tweeted that the Chargers' run defense is abysmal, and they lost one of their best run stuffers for a long period of time. So there's all kinds of ways to look at it. I don't have an agenda when I tweet things. I usually am trying to just find information or little nuggets that I think are interesting leading into a game or after a game. And so that's generally kind of my approach. But by no means does me tweeting that mean like, oh, I think the Niners are going to lose because they happen to be playing again on Sunday night. It's just a little nugget of, hey, this is something to keep an eye on as they go into this week. That's all.
So do you think we're going to break that streak?
I mean, I think they should. I would be hard pressed to say that there's a reason that the Chargers should win this game. Given how banged up they are right now, you could argue that these are the two teams that have dealt with them, just in terms of the quality of players that have gotten hurt this year, have dealt with the most injuries or the most significant injuries of any team in the league. But the Niners, on one hand, are getting healthy. Chargers don't seem to be getting much better right now, and so a lot of things favor the Niners going into this game. Of course, they still have to go out and do it, and we have to see them start stringing some wins together, because that's the one thing they haven't done so far this year.
Yep, agreed. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to add that they threatened to mute me, Nick, because I also reminded that we have a 5-game losing streak to the Chargers.
Yeah.
There we go with the mute.
There you go.
What is this? What?
You two are in
Y'all's
cahoots,
middle
I think.
initials E for Eeyore? Like, what's going on, man? What's the deal?
All right. So to change it up from that, Nick, what is your favorite moment covering the 49ers?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. I will say, and a part of this just stems from the fact that they covered bad football for so long. But in 2019, there were a lot of really great moments and games. You could talk about Seattle, the way that one ended in week 17 to win the division and all that. But my favorite game I've ever covered, just as a game, was that New Orleans game a few weeks before that shootout in New Orleans, 48-46 49ers. And other than the fact that is the coldest press box in America, and possibly the world, they have you way up high, so you're next to the air conditioner, and the air conditioner is on and blowing the entire. And I'm not kidding when I say I will take a coat and like a beanie and like a scarf and gloves to that game because of the press. And it could be a September game where it's 80 degrees outside. I'll do that. Anyway, that is not really the point here, but that game was just so wildly entertaining. Yeah, just so wildly entertaining that one certainly stands out as a moment or a game that I'll always remember. But there's been so many good ones. Even last year. Week 18 down in LA was incredible. Getting a chance to cover the Packers game. It's one of the things that I hadn't done is cover a playoff game at Lambeau. I've been to Lambeau many times, but never for a playoff game in January. So like the full experience of Lambeau is getting to be there when it's really freezing cold and snowing. And I'm from the Midwest originally, so it was kind of cool to get a taste of a little bit of taste of that. So yeah, those would be a few of them that stand out to me.
Awesome. So who's your favorite player to interview?
Ooh, on the current team?
Yes.
Trent Williams is my answer. So every year we have we hand out an award at the end of the year for the player who was the most helpful and cooperative with the media. And Trent Williams is now the only player in the history of that award to win it 2 years in a row, or twice in general, I think. And he won it his first year and his second year. And I always laugh, guys, because the first year he won it was during the pandemic, and so we never had even met the guy in person, and he already won the award. And so it's funny because I sat down with him last year for a story I did on the playoffs, and I was like, Trent, because we were still kind of in protocols. They didn't have open locker room, and we'd seen him in person in like the press conference room, but never like one-on-one. And so when I finally sat down with him, and this is probably late November, early December of last year, I actually got a chance to like shake his hand and like introduce myself for the first time, which is kind of crazy. But he's just a really insightful guy. You could talk to him about just about anything. And the thing I really like about Trent is that he's so comfortable in his own skin that he is willing to share anecdotes, which is what we look for. We like those little nuggets, lift the curtain, take us behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff. And he's always willing to do that. I think part of that is when you're really good, you can kind of just say whatever you want. No one's going to get mad at you. So he's got that going for him. But that's my answer. It's Trent Williams.
Cool.
I'd like to shift it over to another part of the line, the defensive line. Mm-hmm. And I hate to also go with the Eeyore middle name, but I'm noticing that Eric Armstead didn't practice today. Mm-hmm. So just wondering how that's all working out, and if there's going to have to be some sort of street reinforcement on the defensive line at some point, because I feel like the way they run these things, they really want to run a lot of depth through there, and you kind of do need to stop the run, I guess, in the National Football League. That is a thing that people still need to do. So
yes, that is a thing that people always need to do. Yeah, Eric's status as of right now, he's on the mend, and he's close to being back. I will say that. I don't think it's going to be this week, most likely. I think, though, in the next week or two, you might see him back. Kyle Shanahan just today, for the first time, kind of clarified all of the foot/ankle things that he has going on. The big thing that's been holding Eric from getting back on the field is he had a hairline fracture in his foot, and that is taking the longest to kind of heal. The plantar fasciitis, which he's also dealing with in his right foot, is going to have to be something he deals with. For anybody that's ever had that, you kind of know it doesn't just kind of go away overnight. But it was the hairline fracture that's really held him out. And to answer the second part of that, look, I kind of looked it up over the bye week. One of the things I was doing when I was bored to tears in jury selection was just how meaningful is Eric Armstead to this defense, and how can we quantify that? Because defensive tackle is a position that generally doesn't allow you to quantify that other than just the eyeball test. And the thing about Eric Armstead, if you look at the way their defense has performed since he has moved inside permanently to defensive tackle, it's night and day. And you take that away, and to your point about needing reinforcements, they have needed them, but it hasn't really mattered because there's a trickle down effect that comes with losing him. And by that I mean, if you play corner, let's say for example, and you have an injury to someone and that person gets replaced, well, that replacement knows that he's going to play 60 snaps in a game, right? Like that. But when you play defensive line, those guys are rotating all the time. So if you're a backup defensive tackle who plays 20 to 24 snaps a game, well, guess what? You know that you can turn it up to 100 miles an hour for those 20 to 24 snaps. If all of a sudden you're playing 50 or 60, you got to figure out how you can get through the game, and how are you conserving energy and using energy and all those kinds of things. And I think that's really where you've seen kind of the dip in the defensive performance that happened really before the second half of that Rams game that affected them against Atlanta and against Kansas City. So getting Eric Armstead back is, I think, integral for them being able to make the type of run that they want to make. And they can win without him, but can they go deep into the playoffs without him? I'm not so sure.
The other thing I want to follow that up with is something optimistic. The addition of Christian McCaffrey finally gives Jimmy somebody, or whoever plays quarterback for this team for that matter, somebody who can actually move the chains when everything else goes to hell in a handbasket, because on occasion those things happen as well. Talk a little bit about that, because when you talk about trickle downs, if that offense can start staying on the field longer, well, maybe some of these defensive linemen don't have to play 40, 50 snaps a game. Maybe they can just play 30, 35, and then they can figure out how to put those bursts in strategically.
Yeah, no, I think it's the point you make about Christian McCaffrey being kind of a professional chain mover is right on. Like that is definitely an area where if it is 3rd and 6 and you're Jimmy Garoppolo and your first or second read isn't there and you can check it down to a guy. Normally, a lot of times in those situations, you do a check down. It's that guy's probably going to get tackled a couple yards short of the first down marker. But Christian McCaffrey has that ability to make the first person miss and pick up those first downs. So we saw that. I mean, look, I'm not breaking any new ground or offering any deep inside analysis to say Christian McCaffrey's really good at football. We got to see that against the Rams. But I think when you look at what he brings to the table and the different ways that he can affect the game, it really opens things up for the rest of the team and the rest of the offense. I think the ceiling has been raised on the offense, and quite honestly, they hoped that they were going to be able to do that with Trey Lance, that he was going to be able to open up new pathways for the offensive ceiling to be raised. And without Trey Lance, you wondered where was that going to come from. And I think Christian McCaffrey in some ways does that. It's obviously in a different way, but he also enables them to do that. And you can split him out wide, and you can get Elijah Mitchell back in there, and he looks like he's going to be back this week. So all of those things, the trickle-down effect of if everybody, the gravity they talk about Steph Curry in basketball, like the gravity of guys pulled towards him, what does that open up for everybody else? I think you'll see a lot of that too moving forward, particularly now with Deebo Samuel back in the mix also.
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff. Nick, did you attend practice today?
I did, yes.
Did you get a chance to look at Deebo Samuel and Azeez Al-Shaair at all?
Yeah,
and see how they looked?
Yeah, all those guys are moving well. Deebo is a full participant, and doesn't look like anything's holding him back. Juwan Jennings also in that receiver group, moving around fine. Looks like he's going to be back. Al-Shaair, it's a little different because he's not technically activated yet, so he doesn't have to appear on the injury report. But he looks like he's moving well too. He told me the other day. I asked him, how he was feeling and where he's at. He says he's way ahead of schedule, and so it sounds like he's going to be ready to play also. So I think that could be particularly helpful because Dre Greenlaw's still limited with that calf injury. Maybe they have both of them in an ideal world, they do, but if not, at least maybe Azeez will be back, so that can help offset if Greenlaw takes another week.
And how was Juice looking today?
Good. He's got it's not a club like Jimmy Ward had, but he's got like a modified glove on his finger, and then on his hand, I'm sorry, and then his finger is wrapped like this big wrap around his finger. But I saw him catch some passes, I saw him run, so it seems like he can do what he needs to do, which seems kind of crazy to have a broken finger and be back as quickly as he is, and not be limited at least by that. But it doesn't seem like he is. He's a full participant. He's going to be good to go this week too, barring a setback.
At least he didn't Ronnie Lott it. Like I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
He did.
It's always a good decision.
Come here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now, Nick, there's this question on Twitter that always pops up every once in a while, but will the 49ers go after OBJ?
It's hard to say. I never say never with anything in the NFL. I think they will be at least interested in seeing where his price tag goes and what that looks like. I also think that the hard part with him is going to be where does he fit and how many footballs do you have? If there was an injury situation that was more long term here, I think that would be a little bit more likely in terms of how far they'd be willing to extend themselves. But I also know that Kyle Shanahan has always been a fan of Odell Beckham, and he has said that on multiple occasions openly. And so if it was something that made sense from a financial perspective and Odell really wanted to be here, I think that would be a stronger possibility. I'm not going to rule it out by any means. I also think there's probably going to be a lot of competition for him. And the other thing is we still don't really know where he's at. He's still coming off of that injury, and maybe you would get him for the last month plus, which could be helpful. And I also think that it would be helpful just because Juwan Jennings, I think, has been a little bit disappointing this year, hasn't performed at the level that they hoped or taken that next step that they hoped he would take after the way he finished last year. So you could make that case, but boy, they got a lot of talent at the skill positions right now, and I'm not sure that's necessarily going to be something that works out. But again, not ruling it out completely.
And you don't think we try to go after him just strategically if it's, we can get him at a low, a basement price just to keep him out of the hands of Dallas or Green Bay or somebody else who might be, maybe not Green Bay, but, the Rams or Dallas or someone else that we might be up against in the playoffs, Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if like I said, if the price was there, I think that would be something that would be appealing to them. I'm not sure how low he's willing to go on that. And, there's going to be other teams out there who maybe have a greater need, a Kansas City or a Buffalo, for example, that may feel like he can fit in right away. And obviously he and Von Miller are really tight, so
Right.
he's getting the hard sell from Buffalo. Like I said, not ruling it out. I'm just not necessarily sure the fit is as easy in San Francisco as it is elsewhere.
And last one from me, Nick. Indianapolis let go of Frank Reich. A lot of people think that maybe Kyle should hire him as his OC. What do you think?
Oh, I have not heard that one. No, I don't foresee that happening, and certainly not in a play calling role. I just don't think Kyle Shanahan's giving up play calling anytime soon. And I also think that Kyle Shanahan, one of the things that's kind of been I don't know if underrated is the word, maybe under talked about with this team this year is how much their coaching staff changed in the offseason. And it was on offense in particular. It was every single position coach except for Chris Furster was new. And I think there's something to be said for how much that can affect things and how much that changes things and why you saw a little bit of a slow start. And I asked Kyle Shanahan about this when I was talking to him, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, just me and him. And I said, how much time do you spend coaching your coaches? And he said, honestly, that's the majority of what I do, especially this year. So Kyle Shanahan, for an example, after every season, Kyle Shanahan always goes to Mexico with his family. And this year he did go to Mexico, but he didn't go for nearly as long because he had to spend a whole month back here trying to onboard his new coaches, get them up to speed, and get them to, understand what he's trying to teach and what he wants to get out of them. So I say all that to say I don't think there's going to be any in-season coaching additions to the 49ers staff. Now, after the season, maybe we can revisit if people leave or, DeMeco Ryans leaves and, those kinds of things. But I wouldn't expect anything like that anytime soon.
And I lied. I actually do have one more for me. How do you see this team finishing the regular season?
I think they should win the division. Now, I say that with the caveat of injuries, which we don't know about. And I think that it's easy to say that, but I also think that you look at the way they've played so far this season. They've been very up and down. You'd like to see them string some wins together and be consistent. And for as nice as that win was against the Rams before the bye, obviously that was a huge win for them, very important because they didn't want to go into that bye 3-5. They always beat the Rams, except for the game that mattered the most, of course, but they always beat the Rams. So you'd like to see them not only string wins together, but do it against some teams that aren't the Rams, and see if they can continue to stack up. Now, health is going to be a relative term. It's going to be relative for everybody, right, in the NFL. That's just kind of the way it goes. But for the 49ers in particular, can they get and stay relatively healthy is going to be the question, because the one thing with them is this year anyway, and this was true in 2019 also, they had a lot of injuries then. They've had a lot of injuries this year. They haven't had a lot of the season-ending type of injuries. They've had a couple, and a couple of pretty big ones. I'm not trying to downplay what happened to Trey Lance or Emmanuel Mosley, but a lot of the injuries this year have been guys shorter term. They're able to come back, those types of things. So as long as they can continue to kind of avoid those types of things, I think they're the most talented team in the division. Frankly, I think they're the most talented team in the NFC. I think the Eagles are very good. I'm not trying to downplay them at all, but I think the 49ers have a really good chance if they can, like I said, stay relatively healthy to make a run at this, not only winning the division, but also be a legitimate playoff team in the NFC come January.
All right, awesome. Anybody else? Any questions?
I have one really important one. Do any of the other fan bases travel as well as the 49ers fan base to other cities?
I will say that there's about 3 or 4 teams in the league that no matter where you go, you will see them in droves. The Packers are one of those teams. Traditionally, the Steelers have one of those fan bases. And I would throw Dallas to a little bit lesser extent in there, but I will say that, and this goes back to that New Orleans game. Part of what made that New Orleans game so fun in 2019 was that place was packed with Niners fans, and it wasn't an advantage Niners fans, but it was maybe 60-40, 55-45 New Orleans, which is just nuts to think about because it's one thing if you go to Jacksonville like last year and it's all Niners fans. Okay, sure, fine, right?
Or Carolina this year.
Yeah, or Carolina this year, right? But when you do it in 2019 against the Saints in a game that frankly was basically for the number 1 seed in the NFC that year, and the Saints had a ton on the line in that game. It was a huge game, and there's still that many 49ers fans that were able to get their hands on tickets and get in the game. It's really something to see. It really is, and it's almost funny that we've reached a point now that whenever they play at SoFi Stadium, it's not even a story because it's just like this is the expectation now that it's going to be overwhelmingly 49ers fans. But yeah, it is pretty cool to see, and I know that the team and the players and the coaches all really take great pride in that and enjoy it when the fans show up on the road.
Well,
All
it's
right.
something we're good at. We specialize in going on the road and making
Yeah,
sure
we're a little.
them. The good road warriors.
Yes, definitely. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Look forward to hopefully talking to you down the road.
Yep, you got it. Take care.
All right. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you for braving the technology.
Yeah. Anytime. You can't lose to the technology, especially where I live. If you lose to the technology, you're buried because this is there's a lot of it around.
It's over.
So, yeah, you lose
Right,
once,
yeah,
you're
that's
lost
it.
forever at this point. So take care.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Amen. Take it easy, Nick.
All right. Nick Wagoner from ESPN. So, Maddie, you're up.
For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major cities and sports cities around the country. All the while, they've continued to be fans, right? Not just like media people. So, if you ready to take the next step, do some of these things, you can go to our website, iesportsradio.com. You can see the Patreon link with 5 different tiers, 5 of them. There's 4 horsemen. There's 5 different tiers of the Patreon. Okay. First one starts at $5 a month. That donation gets you shout out on all the shows, right? Like that's pretty cool. Like you're getting interaction with people. You're not getting ignored like on the national shows where they talk to themselves and their producers. This of course, it also gives access to Podcasting University, and that also allows you a chance to be featured on a segment of the flagship show called The Defining Moment. Nice. Thank you very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports, and you can find them all over the place. Twitter, IE Sports Radio, Instagram, IE Sports Radio, and Facebook, IE Sports Radio as well. And of course, you can find them on the website. If you Google IE Sports Radio, you can find that right there, or iesportsradio.com.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Maddie.
Hanging through.
All right. So with that being said,
Uh-oh, the circle of death.
Uh-oh.
Reed overwhelmed them.
Yeah.
Overload.
Reed overload.
After all that we've gone through today with the
I
read.
know.
Woo! My hair's on fire.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, poor Matt. At least he got through it.
He's coming back. He's coming back. There
Hey,
he
there
is.
you are.
All right.
Woo, you're back.
You got him back. See, and he's literally just
I
said,
read it and it
"Don't
was
let
like
the
you're done.
technology take
Goodbye.
over."
Thank you very much. Thanks for playing.
Yep.
Right. Like,
Thanks for coming
thank
out
you.
tonight. Take
I know.
care. See you next
God
week.
bless you. Good night. Oh man.
All right. So now that we have Maddie back, Nick touched on this a little bit, but I don't know why this is a thing, but let's kind of make it a thing for the purpose of just talking about it.
Let's do it.
But like Frank Reich or Kyle Shanahan for head coach.
Head coach, clearly Kyle.
I mean, do we have to revisit this? It's like circling the drain
For
over
like
here.
but I see this on Twitter and I'm like, wow, this is actually like a thing. So I just wanted to make
I don't know
it a
where
thing
you're going
for,
on
like,
Twitter, but it's like you took a wrong turn on a street somewhere and you
I
ended
did.
up in a
I
back alley.
clearly
right?
didn't mute enough.
I don't.
You took a wrong turn at
Call your
Albuquerque.
get your GPS back in and get back on the road because I
Yeah.
don't know what planet these people are talking about that on.
Yeah.
Like there are people out there. I honestly think Kyle Shanahan could go out and win 3 Super Bowls. Like can you imagine how much they would have dragged Bill Walsh over the coals after like
my gosh.
87, right? Like, Kevin lost the Viking. Get that old guy out of here. Like, get out of here. Like as soon as you
Ty's over
start
here
like
oh, I don't want to hear
as soon as you start like acquiescing to the peanut gallery, like it is legitimately over, right? Like at the end of the day. And I think in this situation, like there's not a lot of coaches that I would probably trade Shanahan for. Like,
Yeah.
I really wouldn't. And it's not that I think he's God's gift to coaching. I just don't think there's a lot of good coaches out there, right? Like, look at some of the coaches around the league right now. Look in this division. You want to trade him for any one of the coaches in the division right now? Any one of them?
And
Nope.
I don't. I don't want to trade him for Pete Carroll.
Right. You just made a point that I always bring up when this rhetoric starts. Who are you going to replace him with? Who? Just give me one name. And it's like you can't find anyone more talented, more qualified, or that has had this success and built the team that he's had, with the job he's done. Like, stop it. Just stop. Calm down. Take it easy. Take a breath. Let's let this thing play out a little bit more. Don't get crazy after one loss and someone else got fired.
Yes, because Kyle Shanahan ate the West Coast offense for breakfast as a child. Just remember that. Like, no one knows the system better than him. He's been in football, whether it's been his career, but his entire life he's been in and around this level of football, elite levels, forever. And I think he is a great coach. I think he does a wonderful job with the play calling. Like I've always said it. I think our execution of it sometimes is where it falls apart at the seams. You need a quarterback who can make the plays. You have to have a running game. You have to have all these things. And if everyone's out hurt or your quarterback is going to throw ducks all day, then you're not going to be successful. And they want to point the finger at him, but it's not always him who's at fault. Someone has to execute, right? So I would not in a million years trade him for Frank. No.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah. Take a quick second to shout out some people in the chat. We got Brian Cope up in here. What's up, Brian? Derek Swanson's in here. Melissa, always holding us down.
Yes. And Melissa, you're welcome. We love the
DJ
hashtag.
Swanee D, the legendary DJ Swanee D, by the way.
Yep.
The legendary DJ Swanee D.
My guy
Initial
Aaron
Niners
was in
Northeast
here.
member. We went to the Atlanta game last year.
Nice.
Good
Awesome.
stuff.
So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I again, I don't know why this is a thing, but Kyle's not going anywhere. And the fact that playing the Rams, I think he had one of his best games as far as play calling. And now you want to come on Twitter. And like I said, like Matt said, I took that wrong turn, apparently. But, he had one of his best games play calling. And now you want to come on Twitter and say, oh, how about we hire Frank Reich? Or whether it's head coach or OC, like, I'm just going to, throw the flag at that one. But,
there was a lot of.
Remember when Orlando Brown got hit in the eye with the flag? Like, that's what I want to do to whoever suggested that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to throw the flag directly at them.
Well, I did see some articles, after we went 3-4 that were talking about if the 49ers continue on that same losing pathway, is Kyle's job on the hot seat? Is his seat warming up? He hit the button in the car. It's December. He's going to feel a little fire under his bottom at the end of the season if we have a losing season. So if we don't win it out, then what? Do you think Kyle's in jeopardy at all?
No.
I still don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. I think injuries have really plagued us more than anything, and I don't think you can blame that on play calling and the coach.
And I think this front office, like, starting with ownership, like Jed York and Dr. York. And I just think that they're like a tight knit group. I really don't see it.
I don't either.
And the thing also, they're football people.
They're like a boy band.
They understand. They are like a boy band, an old boy band, but they understand football. And they know you can't just look at a loss and be like, oh, they lost. They look at it contextually.
Yes.
How did they lose? Why are we losing? Oh, we're losing 10 starters. We don't have 10 starters on the field. Our team is not that bad. Or, our third string wide receiver dropped the wide open pass. That would have been a touchdown, They know how to put these things into context. Yeah. They're not just going to have that knee-jerk reaction like fans would.
Like the fans do, yeah.
And you know what, too? Like we've had a lot of injuries. So what did they go out and do? They got us depth to, make sure that if we do have an injury, somebody's there to step up. And I think we need to chill on that, Faithful.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. So the next thing, because now I'm going.
It's more like, by the way, just a clarification. They'd be a dad boy band, right? Like they'd be a dad band. I don't know how
the dad band.
Like the Backstreet Boys on tour now. The 2020 Backstreet.
Right. Yeah. Right.
With the dad bod.
I was just about to say, and now coming to the stage, give it up for the dad bods.
Boy bods out here.
It's like shirtless Schefter the other day.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that was
a lot.
There
was a lot going on there.
Do we have another topic that's not from the back alley of Twitter that we could?
Well,
right, he doesn't have to throw deep balls anymore. Like he doesn't have to. He can just.
It's a run game.
He's just gonna play darts.
So
by the way, the last couple of deep throws he's had, by the way, dropped into the hands, dropped.
Yes.
The basket.
You can't catch it too. Is just.
I don't have my red flag here, but we'll keep it going, Jess.
Let me go get mine, Ty.
So I really was, on this wrong turn thing and getting lost because my next thing is I've seen Brady or Rodgers next season.
Well,
this is actually a possibility, though. I can appreciate this.
I can too.
Go ahead.
Who wants to go first?
All right, I'll jump in. Look, this is the same soup, just reheated.
No, I don't think so.
Hold on. This is the national media want to say something that they can't say. Hey, the Niners are going to move on with Trey Lance. This is what he does and what he brings to the table. They're not going to use their heads and say something, positive or thought-provoking. They're going to jump to the same old storylines. And it's very easy to do. Why should the Niners get Brady? Because he grew up a fan. That's
And he's
all they
talented
say.
at his
That's
job.
all they say. Why should we get Rodgers? Oh, because he played in a similar system. Blah blah blah. That's it.
But
That's all they're saying. And remember, there's no like ties to this. There's no inkling. No one said we're interested in them or they're interested in us. It's just literally a guy sat down on a radio show and said, I think Brady should end his career here.
I hear you 2 years ago with that sort of mindset, but now we have Jimmy, who's going to be a free agent. He's going to walk. He's going somewhere else. We have baby Trey coming back off of injury. I know you want the Trey area to happen, but I'm telling you, we're going to, if Aaron Rodgers is out of the picture, he's going to cost way too much money. Whoever picks him up has to own that big old nut of a multi-million, $20+ million thing. It's done. He's out. He's out of the picture. But you talk about Brady. Brady's going to be a free agent. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be up against a cap ceiling. They're not going to be able to afford him. He's going to come to the Niners, and he's going to play for the Niners. Whether it's 1 year, 2 years, he's gonna want his swan song, and he's gonna want it with a team as talented as the team we have.
Oh, no doubt about that. We all know Brady's a front runner.
Yeah,
he wants to go to the most loaded team in the league.
And we can't afford to pay a ton of own that Rodgers contract because we've got 21 free agents next year that we've got to figure out how to pay and extend Bosa and some guys. So the Brady scenario definitely fits a lot neater in the box. Put a little bow on that.
But Brady's going to want money too.
He's going to want money, but he also, he's
going through that divorce. He's going to want more money.
No, they're already done. They've already done the thing, right? So that's already done with. He's got family that lives here, and you don't know how things are, but
and
there's a couple other things on this too.
Look, I think
we don't know how Trey Lance is. We do not know how Trey Lance is going to
recover.
We don't know how he's going to recover. We don't know how that's going to be. It reminds me very similarly to when Gordon Hayward broke his ankle when he was on the Celtics. It took a long. He never really came back fully, right? That's a serious injury, and I can see a world where there's a lot of overcompensation injuries with a rehab like that, right? It's tough. It's not easy. And for us to take an entire Super Bowl roster and be like, here, let's put it on your rehabbing leg and just roll from there with Brock Purdy as your backup. It just doesn't seem like that's the way they would want to roll to me.
No.
And I feel very strongly that if Tom Brady gave them a call, particularly if Jimmy Garoppolo is out of town, Jimmy and Tom share an agent, of course, feel very strongly that if Tom wanted to go home and wrap it up here, I think they would listen this time. It is very well known that he wanted to talk to them through back channels back in 2020. And they bypassed him.
Who said that?
However you want to do it, however you want to talk about it, they bypassed him, right? And it's very easy. That would have been a quick shuffle. Tom Brady would have gone to San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo would have gone to New England, and that would have been a wrap. And that would have been your 2020 season.
And
I don't know how that year would have turned out. Could have won a Super Bowl, or maybe everybody tears their ACL in the Meadowlands again, and that's it, right? Because that's pretty much what happened, right? So, but at the end of the day, if that happens, they're going to listen, right? But it's all going to be up to Tom Brady. Does he want to retire after this year? I can't imagine if he just gave up his marriage to play football. I feel like he wants to play football for as long as he wants to play football for at this point. If he did this just so he could play football till he's 45, then he is the pettiest MFer that I have ever met in my life, and bless his heart for it. But my goodness, I just can't imagine he would do that.
I do feel encouraged by Trey because there was a picture that he's no longer in the boot. He had his Jordans on. It seems like he's in good spirits. I know John Lynch said that he was in good spirits, mentally and physically. He's, a lot of people think he's going to play for us in January. I do not think so. especially if we're making a run. I don't see why we would switch. But Becca, I have a question though. Like you had said, that you expect Brady, to be on the team, but why do you want him on the team?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think, he's a seasoned professional, a veteran. It's like getting Trent Williams on the line. He walks in and he goes to work. He knows how to operate. He can go to work and handle his business. I feel like Tom Brady is that kind of guy. It's not going to take him very long to absorb the playbook. He's going to be able to have man-to-man conversations on plays and how to conduct business on the field. And it's going to be a seamless, quick transition. Whereas I still feel like Trey is in the infancy learning stage, and his time got cut short. We were all excited for him to get started, and it was, we expect a few rough outings from him as a rookie and a young quarterback. But you bring in Tom Brady, and now you have someone who can drop dimes downfield to wide receivers. And, he's gonna make plays that we've not had quarterbacks to make those plays since probably Steve Young or maybe Jeff Garcia, some guys that could really, really turn around and make a play out of nothing. That's what Tom Brady's going to be able to bring. Jimmy's just inconsistent, and we know that. Is he going to do well in Jacksonville? Yeah, sure. He'll do great there. He'll be a level up for them. But he's not staying with the 49ers. And I think we all know that. He's going to be walking, and that's going to leave us with what? Trey on the mend and a backup quarterback that we have zero. I'll be breathing in a bag if he has to take the field, it's not going to be pretty. And can Brady be controlled the way Kyle tends to do?
I want to take.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I want to jump in on this one. And
yeah, take that away.
On something you said, Becca, about Brady coming in and absorbing the playbook. We have to remember one key thing about Brady in Tampa and his relationship with Bruce Arians. They bumped heads big time. Why did they bump heads? Because Brady wanted to run that New England system plays, and Arians didn't. He wanted to run his plays. So the dynamic work that Bruce Arians said, okay, what's their coordinator's name? Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
He told Leftwich, you go with Brady, go over the plays for the week, come back to me. Brady and Leftwich got close and started putting in New England plays. So when Leftwich went back to Arians and said, hey, this is the playbook, this is what we agreed on, he would see those New England plays and cross them all out and throw them out. He says, we're not running this. We're running my stuff. That's where the friction came in. Now think about Kyle and how controlling he is with his offense. If Brady comes in and says, hey, I want to run this stuff, and Kyle's going to be like,
that's not going to happen.
No, you're going to run what I say you run. It's going to be the same thing. So I don't see, just from that perspective, I don't see that kind of marriage working out. I don't.
Well, I think if you're Kyle, you have to consider, do you have the bride, or do you have the third bridesmaid down on the end as your guy on the field? And sometimes you have to make concessions.
How do you know he's not the bride?
Well, I mean, Brady's got a proven record in the league.
How do you know this isn't the Princess Bride? How do you know? How do you know this isn't the Little Mermaid? How do you know?
You don't know anything. There's no guarantees about anything, but I mean, you can look at.
Get this boy out of water and let's see him flourish. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I still think if you have to choose between Nate Sudfeld and Tom Brady, where are you going with that?
Oh, you go Tom Brady. But
Nick Mullins, Tom Brady.
I'm waiting on that answer because we all know the answer to that. Let's
I'm,
not
I'm
play
gonna
pretend.
I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna be a bit unpopular.
Leave her mic. No, we stop.
Oh, we're gonna go that route, huh?
There we go.
No, go ahead.
I think Jimmy G comes back.
How?
Yeah, I find that there might be a
However,
scenario for it.
if Jimmy G goes out there and nothing is to his liking, I think he comes back. But this is Trey's team next year. Same thing how we were going into this season. This was Trey's team, but that's my thought process behind it. As to Brady or Rodgers, you know what? I'm past that. If it happens with Brady, fine. I'm a fan of, the team, San Francisco 49ers. I'll be behind whoever is under center, but I don't know. I don't see it, Brady or Rodgers. All right. So with that being said, we had some reinforcements back on the practice field today. Out of, let's see, we had no Armstead, no Ebukam, because now he's dealing with a quad on top of his Achilles. Verrett and Greenlaw were limited. The practice window was open for Jordan Willis. I feel like Kyle Shanahan here. And Kinlaw is still on injured reserve. Okay. The guys who were back were Debo, Juice, Alshire, Mitchell, McKivitz, and Jennings. Out of the guys who were back, who is going to have that impact game Sunday night?
Matt's been quiet. I think he needs to go first.
I've been quiet, but things people have never
Thanks
said
for
about me
joining, Derek.
before in their absolute life. Bye, Derek. I can't even imagine that you guys would even think that, but I would really, really, really like to see Drake Greenlaw get some meaningful snaps just to help Fred Warner. Fred Warner's been a missile lately. He's just been everywhere, right? You worry that these guys burn themselves out right around early December, mid-December, playing crazy like this. And like a game like the Rams is real easy to get up for, especially like when you're in desperation mode, you're trying to get to 500 and everything's kind of going against you in that game. Matt Stafford runs one in for a touchdown. We really didn't talk enough about that. That was bizarre and weird. Okay. Shouldn't happen again. And he took a shot too. Like, I wonder if his concussion started on that game because like he didn't look right after that.
He got hit like by three guys.
He didn't look right in that game, and he didn't really look right in the game against Tampa last week. So take that with what you will. But that was quite a shot. But to me, it's just keeping that depth up because the other thing this does is it reinforces the special teams, right? Like we talk about special teams often, like please don't hurt us, please don't hurt us. When you have good reinforcements, so that your first, second, third units can be first, second, third units. Your first, second, and third units are there, and your special teamers can focus on their special team stuff, know their jobs, aren't learning new things on the fly. Like, this is all huge. This is just, it's great to see some actual health moving our way. And the other cool part is, knock on everything, only got another game on turf left, right? Everything else is full grass from here on out. So if you got full grass from here on out, that makes you feel pretty good. So feeling okay with some things. Nice to be optimistic for once.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I see Mitchell having a pretty good game now with Christian McCaffrey in there, that they'll be able to mix it up and do some things and share the love there in the running game. So I think
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. I hope so.
Yeah.
It
real
seems
quick.
like.
Oops, sorry.
No.
I thought you're done. I thought you're done. Real quick, as we're chatting, you know what? Let's do this T-shirt giveaway. I know it's only 2 people here. I don't care. Let's do it.
Right.
Let's do this. Just enter a number between. I'll cut this down since it's so short.
Enter a number between 80 and 82. Okay. That works.
40 and 49.
Just do Do 1 through 100. 1 through 100. I know it's a big range. The closest person to get it wins. Boom. Okay. Who do I think have a big impact? Elijah Mitchell. I'm going with Elijah.
Me too.
As we heard from Nick, the run defense of the Chargers is poor.
Yeah.
And having just a back come in, fresh legs, I think he's going to be, hungry and ready to run. Let's not forget, in the first game of the season, the Bears game, on that sloppy, wet field, I don't know how he did it. He was running like crazy. He was averaging 6.8 yards per rush.
That's good because the Chargers are giving up 5.7, 5.9.
Exactly.
Right there in the basement there. So
if you do the math, advantage us. Christian McCaffrey averaged 5.3 against the Rams. So
yeah,
that's a two-headed monster right there coming at you via the run.
I would agree.
So I think he's poised for a big game.
I'm going to go with Debo.
Yeah, him too. He's going to have.
I was thinking of him too.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go Debo and Jennings. I know Nick was saying that Jennings has been a little bit of a disappointment this year. But I think Jennings, I think they'll both have a good game.
Nice. All right. I'm going to hit this randomizer, pick a number. It's going to give us a number, and closest person wins. Let's do this. Stupid light. Too much glare.
Yeah, I was going to say you can't see what it says.
It's 2.
The number 2.
It looks,
yeah. What a weird random number.
There we go. We got 2. So Brian, look at 2.
That's what happens when you overlight. So it's Brian.
Brian.
Well done, sir. So, hey,
nice.
Brian.
But Melissa, I like the way you think. I mean, come on, that's a great number to pick.
That is a good number.
That was a good call.
So, Brian,
good call.
I'm going to give you a choice. You can have your pick of one of these 3 shirts. The Ella Ring shirt, the 49er Stadium history, which has Levi South on the bottom. Got to make fun of the Rams.
Which is ECRG pod approved, by the way.
Exactly. And the D-board point. So, yeah, you pick one of those 3. Send me a DM on the Twitter, and we'll work it out. I'll get it to you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congrats, Brian. And thanks for your support, as always.
Indeed.
All right. So, next segment. OBJ to the Niners. Maddie, go ahead.
I don't think it's going to happen, and it's not going to happen for a couple of different reasons. One, there's a bidding war, okay? Jerry Jones has decided that he wants OBJ. Now, keep in mind, OBJ has already torn his knee on turf twice. So I feel like going to the Texas Stadium turf is probably the dumbest possible decision you could make.
Thank you, sir.
However, when I looked at the 4 teams that he said he was talking to today, the only one of those teams that plays on grass, I believe, is the Packers. And who the hell is going to the Packers right now? My guess, no one. So here we are. I don't expect him to go to the 49ers because he wants like 1, 2, 3 years. I don't think this is not a deal where he's just signing for the rest of the year. He did that last year, right? Mm-hmm. And he got his Super Bowl ring. So now it's going to be, what does he want to do? You really want to go back to MetLife? You want to play with the Giants again? Okay, cool, whatever. Like, you want to go to the Cowboys? Makes sense, right? To me, the Cowboys are great. If he wants balls thrown at him, the Cowboys will have the most balls to throw at him, right? Because at the end of the day, they need a receiver.
Yeah.
I would love to see him come to San Francisco. And if he goes to the Rams, like, do you guys see the Rams going on a tear and making the playoffs because OBJ? No, OBJ's not going to play offensive line for them. Like,
right?
I think that's part of the reason OBJ was kind of hanging out for a little bit. Like, boy, I should probably check. Honestly, if I were the Chargers, I'd be going after OBJ. That to me is who should be the dark horse in this.
Yes.
Because he already has clearly said he likes LA. And LA desperately needs receivers. Keenan Allen is hurt every week.
Yep.
Mike Williams is hurt every week. Even after whatever this is, they will get hurt at some other point this year. I promise you. or next year. It's just what happens. The Chargers get injured. It's what they do, right? So, like, they need some
competing with
depth at
us.
receiver. Justin Herbert needs help. They need talent. Like, that's a guy that should go there. But personally, if he wants to win a ring, I see him going to Buffalo. But do you really want to go to Buffalo long term? And when you're one Josh Allen long throw away from him being out, you trust Case Keenum to win you a Super Bowl? And then if you just went to Buffalo for Josh Allen and Josh Allen gets hurt, do you really want to play in Buffalo anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, man. If I'm OBJ, I just think of him on that Florida boat. Like, I think he's going to end up in Dallas, and that's just how it's going to be. I think he's a style over substance guy, and I think it would be the perfect match. Him and Jerry Jones losing in the first round, second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's on turf too, so I don't know. I feel like once shy, twice, once bitten, twice shy. It's probably not on his wish list to go there, but I think that's probably that and Buffalo are the two biggest markets where he's going to get the most bite. I think we'll be interested. We'll definitely be in play for a little while, but if the price isn't right, I don't see us biting too hard. We'll nibble for a little while and.
Yeah, I mean, like John Lynch always says, when someone is available, they always take a look and, and stuff like that. If Debo and Juwan Jennings were going to be out a bit longer, then I could probably see it.
Yeah.
And I think Nick alluded to that earlier, but I don't see it. I mean, I've been saying no since like last year. So I think I'm still going to continue to say no, but that's just my personal thing. And as far as the Buffalo Bills, I mean, I had thought that as far as the Super Bowl goes, that it was going to be a Bills-Niners Super Bowl. But now with that Josh Allen injury, I think I'm going a rematch of 2019, and it's going to be Chiefs-Niners.
Yeah.
Just a little fun fact in there.
Just to piggyback on what you were saying as well, there's another thing that we haven't talked about yet. How's OBJ going to block as opposed to Juwan Jennings, right? A lot of times they like to block. They like to run out of the three receiver set sometimes.
Yep.
Jennings is a really good blocker.
Mm-hmm.
OBJ, a good blocker, not as good as Juwan Jennings, right? And is he going to know all the schemes? Probably not. That's a lot of stuff to learn. And you're really trying to get him to get into the offense, right? What's the first thing he's going to be trying to learn? How to get open, not worrying about the blocking patterns. Like, to me, that's another whole deal. And I just don't think his ego would allow him to be a third receiver. I really don't. I don't.
He did it
so
in LA.
why does Kyle like him so much?
He's more of a two.
I mean, yeah, like Kyle seems to really, really like him. But I agree with you. His ego is a problem because, living here in Giants land, we all know what he was. And then, he went to Cleveland and had that checked down a little bit, but he always seems to have the ego problem. And I agree, he's not going to get in there and block like our guys do. They're slobber knockers. They're getting in there and they're all blocking and playing hardball. I don't know. I don't see him succeeding, but for some reason, Kyle's a bit of a homer for him. He really, really has always spoke highly of OBJ. So why?
Our guys all, just let me say this, Ty, and then I'll come to you. Our guys, they all believe in what we do. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think, and that, as far as blocking and stuff like that, and I just don't think him coming in would believe that as well.
Yeah.
And it would be a bit of a division, but
I agree. I think he's going to not want to do what they do and get their hands dirty. And then that's going to cause a little rift.
Go ahead, Ty.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why I think it can't happen and why it could happen. Why it can't happen. One, his injury. ACLs normally take a full year to recover from unless you're Jerry Rice and Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Don't forget Jerry Rice dislocated his kneecap, broke his kneecap.
If he didn't break his kneecap,
yeah,
he would have played that entire rest of that season. And remember, he broke his kneecap getting open and catching a touchdown. That was the play. Like a total freak of nature, Jerry Rice.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, who does that?
Right.
Anywho, so when he comes back, we're talking about he'll come back in January, and then how effective could he be?
Yeah.
So there's that. Then there's the money aspect. He already said that LA gave him an offer, and it's not what he was looking for.
Mhm.
And they have more money than us. So how much can we give him?
Well, not without
So-
probably trading or giving up someone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So why could it happen? Like if he says, you know what, I'll take a pay cut and come here just to get a ring. Why could it happen? We already mentioned Kyle loves him.
Yep.
And Kyle could get around the blocking issue by running his way once a game, twice a game, and then going the other side of the field where he isn't, right?
Right.
2, we all know that quarterback 2 can be a little off with his deep balls. And Kyle has been trying to challenge the field. He is a receiver known for going up, stretching out, one hand behind
Yeah.
his back, and
Acrobatic.
catching balls, making acrobatic catches.
Mhm.
That kind of solves that issue.
It helps.
So yeah, it helps. So if you put him in for just a few times a game, go out there and run, and we know he'll run a good route and go up for it and try to catch it and possibly come down with it, that helps us get those big chunk plays that's missing from the offense. So that's why I can see it happening, just from those reasons alone. But I think it's happening. No, I think he's going to be stupid. Go to like Dallas, who plays on turf, or Buffalo, who plays on turf, and injure
Cold
himself
turf.
more. Right?
Cold turf, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
Vic.
yeah. So
All right. So after that, mid-season MVPs. Go ahead, Ty.
mid-season MVP on offense. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. He's just been consistent from day one. His receiving, his blocking, doing the dirty little things. I mean, I just look at that touchdown that Debo had in the first Rams game, where he caught the 5-yard pass and took it upfield, and the guy who did the final block was Brandon Ayuk, and he pancaked the guy, And it's something you won't remember about that play probably in the next 5 years, but he was out front blocking for his guy. I just think he's showed that he's wide receiver number 1 for this team. Defensively, gotta go with Nick Bosa. I mean, I look at him and he's still double teamed and triple teamed every game. We saw the Saints cutting him down, blindside blocking him, everything, and he's still amongst the league leaders in sacks and pressures. Got to give it up to him.
And what about special teams?
Special teams. Oh, we got 99 problems, but a Mitch ain't one. Give it up for the punter, baby. Gotta give it up for the punter.
Mitchy Wishy.
Oh,
No,
Yes, I
right
said
then.
that. Yes. That happened.
Love it. I love it.
Go ahead, Maddie.
Offensively, I would have to go with Ayuk as well. I think he's been there every week. He's been healthy every week. He's been a model of consistency every week. Very John Taylory, kind of fitting into that second receiver role. Kind of, fit him in for 5 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown, right? 5 catches, 8 yards, a touchdown. Just that type of dude that you just need, right? Like exactly what you want. Special teams, Robbie Gould. You don't worry about him missing a kick.
Yeah.
Right? You just don't. It's such a nice feeling. You don't worry about him shanking one. Once in a while, one's going to happen, but so be it, right? Doesn't seem to be happening at clutch time, so we let it go. Defensively, Nick Bosa as well, but mainly because he should be in conversation for defensive player of the year. I'm so sick of this Micah Parsons train. Make it Parsons.
Mhm.
Make it Parsons. Make it Parsons.
Mr. Dallas
Like,
hype.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's why there's so many Dallas players and Giants players in the Hall of Fame. It's just a hype train. At the end of the day, Nick Bosa probably controls that side of the line as much as anybody, and he actually missed a game, and he's still like second in the league in sacks. So,
Yeah.
all he needs is one big game against a terrible offensive line, and well, shucks, there's a few still left on the schedule this year. I could see him winning Defensive Player of the Year. Right now, he's plus 600 to win Defensive Player of the Year. So I think that's some pretty good value there, especially if anything happens with Micah Parsons. So they play on terrible turf in Dallas, as you know.
I'm going to go for offense. I'm also going to take Brandon Ayuk. I think he's really, coming to his own this season. And I think he's, our Mr. Reliable. I know he's had a couple drops and stuff like that. All the receivers have, but yeah, I'm gonna go Brandon Ayuk, and then defense. I'm also gonna go Nick Bosa. I think he has 8.5 sacks now, and it's just he's just gonna be up there. He could be double teamed. He could be in a chokehold. He could be held. He's still gonna get to the quarterback. Special teams, I'm also going to go at Robbie Gould because he's another Mr. Reliable. You put him out there this season, and he's just kicking them right through the uprights. Go ahead, Becca.
Well, yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what you all said, but I'm also going to just pick one of the players that Melissa also highlighted. But I also had Brandon Ayuk as the offensive person, just because I feel the same way. He's been out there. He's been consistent. He's really coming into his own. He's, with injuries and whatnot, no matter what we've thrown at him, yes, he's dropped a couple things or whatever, but he's really performed at a high level. Defensively, I just love Hufanga. I just think he's really trying so hard to make an impact every time he's out on the field. I love watching him play. And yes, Bosa is Bosa. He's gonna Bosa. And since you guys all picked him, I was sort of torn between the two. So I'll take Hufanga on the defensive side. But the special teams, I was going to pick Robbie. Yeah, Robbie's my guy. He, again, just Mr. Consistent. I love it when you're at the game and the other team is out warming up, and there's Robbie from 60 yards out booting balls above their head as they're like out there running drills, right? Like
he does not care.
He gives zero, right? Like he cares nothing about what's going on. And he just sits out there, and I think it's part of his training. Like I want this distraction around me because it helps me be better. And he just does his thing. And yeah, so Robbie got my vote for special teams.
And I saw Melissa's comment. Wait, one quick one. Saw Melissa's comment. Aaron Banks on offense, good pick. Hufanga on defense, and Womack on special teams has been
I like
surprising. And I wanted to follow up on your question and ask all of us, who would be your surprise player from the first half who's stood out in your eyes? Any surprises?
Oh, Aaron Banks completely. All you heard last year was Aaron Banks was the worst pick since ever.
He's a bust.
Terrible. And he's
how was that again?
Every week his grades are good. Every week, you don't hear about Aaron Banks getting a holding call. Aaron Banks isn't sidetracking drives with stupidity. Hey T, how are you, man?
Hey Travis.
All sorts of he's just got it, right?
Yep.
He spent his red shirt year, and I guess that's what you can call it when you're a 49er. You take that year to transition. He took that red shirt year and actually did everything that he was supposed to do with it. And now all of a sudden they're doing pretty good on the line. And you could also say Spencer Burford, right? Did anyone expect him to be doing anything on this line earlier this year? Were we talking about him in our preseason watch list? Probably not. So, he's just continuing that line of number 74 is doing good things for the San Francisco 49ers.
Exactly.
Yes, I believe you mentioned that once or twice.
All right. And our last segment for the night, we're going to preview Niners Chargers. So, what do the Niners have to do to win? And obviously, not score more points. And
You know, I was
I always
jokingly
feel
going
like I
to
have say that.
do my booger Marlin.
We got to score more
Well,
points than
I
their
mean,
opponent.
if you really want to channel your inner Herm Edwards, they need to play to win the game. I mean, that would be the first thing they
Play
need to do.
to
They need
win
to start.
the game.
So I'll be more
They really need to do it
specific.
intensely. Yeah.
We got to fix our
Please,
red
Beth.
zone problems. We suck in the red zone. We get there and we cannot score. We are one of the worst teams in the league in the red zone, and we have to fix that. But I mean, to beat the Chargers, we have to run. We could tie our shoelaces together and probably run all over this team this weekend. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to be able to run. We heard it from Nick. Their best run blocker is out. They're giving up the most yak. We got the guys who get the most yak on running the ball. So I think we're going to have a great running game, but that's also going to open us up to other things. But when we get to the red zone, we have to be able to score. We have to fix that. That's what we have to do to win.
You know what I want to see? First play of the game, play action pass, long bomb to Danny Gray.
Boom!
Touchdown.
Yes.
Put it up.
Yes.
Let it rip. 65-yarder down the seam. Like, let's go. Like,
Right.
fake handoff to Elijah Mitchell. I don't care. Let's go crazy, right? Let's go with a fake handoff to Elijah Mitchell. Let's fake a screen and then go yard to Danny Gray on a double move. Like, let's go. Let's take
do
the
it.
top off. Make the Chargers play from behind the rest of the game, because you make them play from behind.
Yeah.
You can let Bosa like sack Herbert all night, man. Like that team is not. And by the way, the Chargers are going to be on Sunday Night Football back-to-back weeks. Like, the country's really going to see how great they really aren't right now. They're not that good.
And
They're going to be playing desperate. I'm really, like, when you look at this game, like, they're 5-3, but
yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned Nick Bosa. I think he's going to get a favorable matchup too, because isn't their guy injured too?
Their right tackle
Pinkett
is
or
injured.
Pinkett? What's his name?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be out, and Bosa's probably going to have a great day.
Yeah, he'll probably be on either side.
Flip-flop.
Yep.
So we began the show looking back at the '94 Super Bowl against the Chargers.
It was great.
Game, great memories. But the beginning of that game, as we know, it was like quick play, boom, bombed Rice. Like, I'm hoping for a similar thing. I think the key to the game is we're going to run the ball and we're going to keep it simple, right? Just pound the rock, set up some play action, and do some things. But I really would love to see an explosive chunk play right out the gate, as what Maddie says.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be, I'm always up for a play action bomb, the first play of the game.
Yeah.
I say it to
I
my
am
wife
too, yeah.
every
Mhm.
game, and she looks at me and goes, "You can't play action bomb every game. You got to set it up."
Yes, we can.
You know, and I
we
look at her
can.
like,
We can.
"Why not?" But I would really love to see some explosives, some chunk plays. I think we're due for it, and I think this is a game that, with this team and their banged up defense, it's ripe for the picking.
Armed and fully operational Death Star is what this game needs to aim to be,
Mhm.
right?
That's right.
Like,
Mhm.
I feel like, you know, we kind of like, if this was Return of the Jedi, you moved the what looked like the unfinished Death Star to Endor, and you're like, oh, it's a Death Star.
Yeah.
Once they finish that, we're in trouble. And then, right, the zapping happened to the Rams last week, and they're like, whoa, I guess that it's a trap. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, it's
That's
a
what
trap.
it is. So now I want to see the whole thing built together, right? And I want to see it. I really do. I want to see it armed and fully operational. Like, I want to see Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield at the same time. I want to see Christian McCaffrey in the backfield with Kyle Juszczyk at the same time, a healthy Kyle Juszczyk.
Got the chills with that.
I want all sorts of craziness, right? Let's go Mitchell and McCaffrey in the backfield, and then let's put Juiced on the line as a tight end, and then put Kittle in motion back the other way and do all sorts of ridiculousness. Like, Let's get McCaffrey the ball on the Wildcat and do some like
Dude.
fake handoffs. Because like, who do you want to go with on a read option? Let me know. Like, run Debo off that. Let me know how that
There you
goes.
go.
Right? There's
I'm
so
thinking-
many things that they can do off of this that don't even involve passing the ball. It'll
Mhm.
literally just be like hot
You could,
potato.
and you know what? You could even throw Ray in there too.
You could Ray could do that. Brandon Ayuk could do that. Like, there's so
Ryan
many
says
athletes
Ross.
on this team. Yeah, why
Yeah.
not throw Kittle
Why not
into the
Ross?
Wildcat, right? And then
Yeah.
just go from there. Like,
Wildcat. There you go. Yeah.
literally everybody they've got can do something at some point. They can draw up some
Yep.
sort of play. Like, to me, like, this is mad scientist 101. They're coming off of a bye week. I can see that hard boot, roll right, step back. There's Danny Gray down at the 15-yard line, wide open, just waiting for the ball. Just seems like a perfect way to open Sunday Night Football to me.
And I-
Matt, I hope you're right. I would love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you know
seeing
what?
how you going to play over Gray, but same mindset. Yeah.
Well, they seem
Yeah.
to want to throw it deep to Ray McLeod for some reason. I love Ray, but like,
Yeah.
he keeps getting the deep balls lately, and I'm like, let's get Danny Gray one. Let's go.
Well,
Danny
let's hope,
Phantom, if
you
you
know,
will.
let's hope this time if they do choose Ray, he actually catches it. Just saying.
He had a good one last week, though, right? Like, he makes
Yeah,
the
sure.
really
That was not a good
spectacular
ball.
ones, and then there's ones like, So, like, I don't know. But he's been great on special teams, so he's got no complaints from me.
I do
been
think we
aggressive.
run the ball a lot though, but having Christian McCaffrey, I feel like just opens up a lot of like, look, like, you know, he
The world.
threw a touchdown last week, you know, I mean, I just think it opens up a lot of the playbook for or 2 weeks ago, I should say. It opens up a lot of the playbook for us.
I still can't believe they fell for that play less than 6 months apart. It's
Yeah,
well,
right?
The Rams are gonna
hilarious.
the Rams,
Rams
are really
gonna
gonna be the
Ram.
Rams.
oh,
That's what
But,
I said when we were in Detroit. I was like, they were getting so excited because when Detroit went up on us early on, I was like, listen, Jared Goff's gonna Jared Goff. Don't you worry, we're gonna win this.
mhm.
The Rams are gonna Ram. Jared's gonna Jared out there. Like,
But I read a tweet today from David Lombardi saying that, you know, everyone seems like fresh, they're healthy, you know, that's the vibe that's in the building, like, you know, just like ready to go, and you know, so I'm cool with that.
That's why Nick Bosa said he got to take some time off and take care of some little ailments, some bruises that have been nagging him. So he's going to be fresh. So yeah, I think team's poised right now to do some big things.
So as far as our defense goes, because I feel like, you know, we talk a lot about the offense, and rightfully so, because we are definitely stacked on the offensive side of the ball. But as far as defense, how are we stopping the Chargers?
Guard
Well, I think
Austin
Nick Bosa's
Eckler and make
gonna-
anybody else beat you. That's it.
I think
Who are their other offensive weapons?
I think we take care of Austin Eckler. And we have the linebackers to do it, especially if Al-Shaair plays. I don't think Greenlaw will play, but I think Al-Shaair will be out there. And Oren Burks has quietly had a pretty decent job, done a pretty decent job filling in as well. So I think we'll be taking care of them, taking care of him with them, and I can't see them making big plays in the passing game with their receivers so banged up. I think our secondary will be able to hold them down. But I really think I see them getting out of Herbert as well, getting after Herbert as well, the D line. I think with the blitzes and stuff, D'Amico Ryan schemes up. We saw how they got after Stafford. I think they'll get after Herbert the same way.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, and I know they're pretty banged up, but I just don't think that this should be a game that we should overlook either.
No.
But this is definitely a winnable game for us. Becca, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think Bosa's going to have a favorable matchup, and we're going to get a lot of pressure on Herbert, and I think that's going to help us. You know, that's going to be part of their role too. Is we're going to get a lot of pressure up there on the quarterback.
Maddie?
You get a lot of people on the Chargers bandwagon right now at the +7, like really looking at it in terms of like if you're looking at the betting side of things, like
Mhm.
that's one thing I'm always looking at, right? If one side is on the other, and you get a lot of it on the Chargers right now, and I'm truly not sure why. That +7 to me, that looks like I wouldn't normally say, wow, I think 49ers are an easy 7-point favorite here, but the mindset that they have coming out of everything, and I'll be really surprised if they come out flat this week. If they come out flat this week, I'm just going to be like, whatever, man. I can't figure out the vibe on this team, and then I'm done. But like straight up, I just feel strong that they're just going to come out and wallop them this week. I don't. The Chargers are a fading team. That 5-3 is very papery. Like they're not. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be deep enough. I just don't think they are. Right?
Doesn't really reflect who they are. Rebecca,
Yeah.
you got a question from Melissa.
Melissa, we were talking Brady
Does.
Rogers. So, I mean, we didn't talk about anybody else who might be available. But look, I'm not going to be mad at Teddy Bridgewater either. But
Tom Brady would actually tackle somebody or attempt to tackle somebody if he got picked off, though. Teddy Bridgewater has already proven that he won't do that. So
yeah,
I don't think Brady
all your
would.
Teddy Bridgewater
seems
stuff
to be a
and get
little
it out
more
of there.
fragile. Yeah, that
Brady's
was
like
my
Robbie
own.
Gold. I don't think that they should be tackling anybody.
Yeah, but he drinks a lot of water and he's flexible. Like I don't know what you need here. Like I don't know.
He doesn't need tomatoes. That nightshade diet's working for Tom. I'm not sure, but
Whatever it is.
So, X factors. It could be coaches, players. Who are your X factors for the game?
Ooh, can I go first?
Yeah.
go ahead.
Brandon Staley's ridiculous 4th down wild and wacky adventures, right? Like, what's he going to do? Is he going full throttle on Sunday night? Is he going for every 4th down that he can possibly go for? Is he going to leave points on the field? That's the thing they do. It's this very, I don't know, it's like a very Madden-y thing where it's like, you're not going to kick that field goal. Like, you're within the 20, 30-yard line. You're still going to go for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3. What's his range? If he thinks 4th and 4 is go for it mode, and you see a lot of 4th downs on Sunday night, regardless of the score, right? And you've seen that with them. They're a big analytics team. They like to do that stuff. So if he likes to press the button, like to me, that's the X factor. And if he presses the button and it keeps coming up X, 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 and we keep cashing it in, like it's going to help. Like it's going to help a lot. So I'm going to be real interested to see how he coaches on Sunday night because I could see this being one of the stretches where, like, all of a sudden at the end of the year, like, wow, seemed like everything was going really well for the Chargers. And then, like, that Sunday night game against the 49ers happened. And oops, like, I just get big vibes on that one in this game.
Well, I did look at the stats on that, and they are a way better 3rd and 4th down team than we are. Better red zone team all around. So I think that's our X factor. We absolutely have to fix our red zone game. Or we're not, we're going to struggle to win. We should win. There should be no question that we should win. But we are able to drive the ball down, and then we just can't finish. And I think that's a problem we have to fix. If we're planning to take the division and go anywhere else with it, that's our X factor.
Okay.
I
Ty?
think it's defensively with the return of Shair and possibly Jason Barrett getting some reps, how that rotation works out. When are they put in what situations, X, Y, and Z, to make sure it doesn't throw off the defensive chemistry that's been built up. So that's one thing I'm going to be looking for. Who comes out on defense, how they start out, and, how they continue throughout the game.
My X factor is going to be Kyle Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how he, calls this game. And, Becca, you brought up the red zone. I'd like to see, what they do in that situation. But I think with all the reinforcements back, I think this is an easy W, although it still shouldn't be overlooked. But with that being said, does anybody have anything else?
It's 2-minute warning time, isn't it?
It
Is that what we
is.
do now?
Yeah, we're gonna
Nope.
go. We're gonna go. Hurry up offense, and we're gonna do 2-minute warning.
Okay, hold on. Let me cue it up.
Ty, you're up.
Sorry, man. I would have vamped for you a little longer. Like I would have.
Yeah.
All right.
I do think we win 34-10. That's my final
Okay.
score.
Yeah, I'm thinking right around that too.
I was
31-10.
10-ish, but yeah.
Clock's running. Okay. 2-minute warning, real quick. This is exciting times at 49ers land. The team is back in action, getting healthy, and I truly feel there is no one left on the schedule that can beat us. No team has really beaten us outside the Chiefs, so this team is ready to roll.
Go ahead, Becca.
Well, I think we're going to break our losing streak against the Chargers. We're going to break our Sunday night football losing streak. Our running game is going to have a night of nights. We're going to do all those amazing things. And before my time is up, I'm going to say Happy Veterans Day. Matt, thank you for your service. And take it away, Jess.
I'm going to go 34-10. Like I said earlier, they shouldn't be overlooked, but Kyle has a full arsenal. Kyle, please open up the playbook. Let's get something done here. All right, go Niners. Happy Veterans Day. To all those, thank you for your service. Maddie, thank you for your service. And go Niners.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, no, and to everybody I get to serve with, appreciate y'all. I'm looking forward to the trip this weekend. Looking forward to being at a home game. It's kind of nice. See all the people there, and the biggest thing that I'm looking for this weekend is just a solid game, start to finish. Not like starting behind, but if you go back and watch that Rams game a couple of weeks ago, they got off to kind of a rough start, but they actually had a really good start when you look at the plays that they had to play over and over again in the red zone against the Rams. Like they just kept getting do-overs, and they kept holding them off. So I think very strongly that they're not overlooking this game. I think it's a convincing win.
Woo! Right to the
Dan
wire.
Fouts.
Good job.
Taking it to the wire.
And you made it just in time. All right, guys. I want to thank Nick Wagoner again for joining us. That was some really cool insight earlier. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you to Brian Culp, who won our t-shirt giveaway. And, that's about it with us. Make sure you like, subscribe. We'll see you next week. Go Niners.
Go Niners. Have a good one.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Start 49ers. They're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone.